Ni pediang sobhai pi sya kani ka program Health Essentials. Kani ka program ka juan ra sya pi ya ki jing ya kren bat ki jing tip sya pi halor ki phang ba pher ki be day bat ka kot ka kya.
Hello and welcome to Health Essentials. We live in a secular nation, and as for us Indians, celebrating a festival when, in the midst of a pandemic, pandemic is not an excuse to shy away from our bombastic way of celebrating, any festival that comes our way here, which is actually, a permanent fixture in our Indian culture. However, with the restrictions in place right now and with the general fear of the virus in the air, we have been tasked with the responsibility, I must say, to figure out a balance between celebration and health. And this task is no ordinary task. And for this, we need to have discussions, we need to come to agreements. And for that, today we have with us Dr. Rajiv Sarkar. He is Associate Professor, Indian Institute of Public Health, Shillong. We also have with us Swami Hita Kamananda, Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission, Shillong. And next to him, we have Mr. Naba Bhattacharya. He is President, Central Puja Committee, Shillong, and also Member State Level COVID-19 Coordination Committee. I would like to welcome all our panelists here. Thank you for being with us here today. And all right, let's start the discussion right away with Dr. Rajiv here. So, ever since the vaccines have been rolled out, we are having vaccination drives. And we have seen that the restrictions has also been eased. So we have seen ads everywhere where they say vaccines are, they close the gap. So tell us more about the COVID-19 vaccine and the benefits of the vaccine.
Well, the COVID-19 vaccines, the one that is at least available in Meghalaya or Covishield, is the parent vaccine is Oxford AstraZeneca, and we are using the same technology. Which is a viral vector vaccine. Essentially, it uses a form of a vector to administer the viral DNA, and then both the vector as well as the DNA disintegrates. So it's not that the vector will multiply or the DNA will multiply or something some genetic modification will happen. It is not the case. And then what it does is once the DNA, sorry, not the DNA, what I'm saying, the RNA. Yes, I'm sorry. Once the RNA is introduced, then what happens is that the body kind of reacts to it as a foreign protein, and the body produces what we call as antibodies. And then the antibodies remain in our body even after the RNA from the vaccine has disintegrated and disappeared. And when the when the real virus enters, the body recognizes that, and then the antibodies are activated and the antibodies kill the virus. And of course, that gives us a protection because as we now know, and there is plenty of evidence from scientific studies globally, where they have found that the vaccines protect us from severe disease and from deaths. I mean, there is data from large population-based studies such as Israel and the UK, where they found that with the Delta variant that the infection surged, but the hospitalizations or deaths did not surge to the way it surged during the first wave. So that is definitely a huge amount of protection. What it also means is that then our hospital beds gets open for patients who are serious, and people do not fall sick that often, and the chances of death also is much less. And this helps us to then think about opening up things, letting easing up the restrictions which we are seeing, because then it becomes less of a public health problem slowly. Once we reach a certain level of vaccination, say about 75 to 80%, we would also expect that the overall transmission of the disease will come down.
Okay.
And if the transmission comes down, then also the chance of it being other people getting infected will also start getting less. And hopefully once we have been able to vaccinate a large majority of population, we might even be able to think about going back to close to the pre-pandemic lives. Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor, for that. Swamiji, let me come to you here. We have been doing a series, on faith and vaccination, our programs here. And what is very clear to us right now is like most religions do not actually have any restrictions on vaccinations. However, there are, many committees or, so to say, who have restrictions on the ingredients as such. So I would like to ask you if the religion, the faith that you follow, if it actually has any restriction on vaccination.
Absolutely no.
Okay.
Because so far we come as a Sanatana Dharma, or the Hinduism popularly known as, it perfectly subject to change, adoption, improvement and experimentation.
Okay.
It is more of a very scientific approach towards spiritual life. So there, when we are in the midst of a social catastrophic situation, so to say, all that is necessary, here we need not bring our spiritual life into this, because it is a social issue, coexistence is an issue. So we must be perfectly in synchronized with the administration, with medical people. At the same time, spiritual life is only individualistic. So there, the social restrictions that is imposed by the health ministry or the medical people for our benefit only, we have absolutely no reservation in fully cooperating with them as regards whether vaccination or taking some other precautions or standard protections, etc. So
okay, thank
from
you.
the faith side, there is absolutely no war.
All right, okay. So thank you for making that clear. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Naba here. Like we are, almost stepping into the festive season now, and attending a neighborhood function might be very tempting for us, or an invitation from loved ones also. It's difficult for us to just deny it. So how can we take part on in all these festivals and all these celebrations, keeping not compromising with our health?
You see, what we have observed in our country, the festival season has been one of the major reasons for a spike of COVID-19.
Yes.
Which we must accept, and it is a proven fact. So again, here we talk of, I had coined the term, the harmony of science, faith and vaccination.
Okay.
So earlier days we had that interlude or the differences, but over the last few centuries that has narrowed down.
Okay.
So as far as your the Durga Puja is concerned, number one, as you have saying, yes, movement of people and the merriment, but not at the cost of one's health.
Yes, exactly.
So we need to strike a balance. So even while formulating the COVID-19 protocols and SOPs pertaining to the all places of worship, and again narrowing down to each individual festival of different faith and religion. So since the Durga Puja is coming, which ushers in the festival season, so we in the Central Puja Committee, we are the coordinating body together with the government in formulating the SOPs which we had done last year. This year the situation is little different from the sense that last year we did not have the vaccine. So it was more stringent as far as following the protocols are concerned. But it is not that because of vaccine we are doing away with being careful. And so we have issued a lot, we have more or less finalized the SOPs with the government, which is in addition to the standing SOPs and protocols which are in place. So this may vary from district to district, but I'll come back to your original question, then we can cover later the integrities. This year also we are discouraging interlocality movement of faithfuls. We are advising all our puja committees and sectors that there should not be any compromise on rituals per se. But with the rituals, we have lot of cultural festivals, those like last year we are totally not encouraging. If anything is to be done, everyone is organizing online.
All right.
As far as the actual rituals are concerned, because now from 1/3 it has come to 50% of these plays available. So basically, to answer your question finally, is that we are encouraging within your own locality you do the pujas, but that cannot be absolutely stopped. Like we have devotees of Ramakrishna Mission who are spread all over Shillong, so they would like to visit mission.
Exactly.
So that also we are regulating, that what time you go, when is the rush hour. So there will be a communication from our control room. So these are in place.
All right. Okay. We'll come back to that more. We have a lot to discuss on that actually. Let's come back to Dr. Rajiv here. Sir, you know, people from all across the country have suffered from coronavirus. I mean, we've been affected, I'm sorry, by coronavirus. And I'm sure you must have come across people who will be like, हमें तो हो गया है, हमने तो जीत लिया है इसको, you know, I'm all good now. And then they'll be like, oh, vaccine भी ले लिया है, तो ठीक है, we can go, we can roam. People in my family itself, they'll be like, oh, we are all safe, yeah, you know, I have some of my aunties who say that. So, you know, what message do you have to give to such people, because they believe कि हो गया तो नहीं होगा, you know? So, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I think there are, if I may say so, there are kind of probably two extremes of people. One extreme is people who are afraid of coronavirus. They just don't want to step out of their home, whatever happens. मुझे तो निकलना नहीं है, किसी से मिलना नहीं है. The other group is people, as you rightly mentioned, is that coronavirus is a hoax, and you know, there is nothing called COVID or anything. You know, it's just a common flu. I guess the best approach is a pragmatic approach. We know that coronavirus is real. Scientists have isolated the viral particles, and you know, they have been able to create the genome sequence for the virus. So that is for real. That is one thing. It does cause severe disease in unvaccinated people. Luckily, we have vaccines which work, and it largely you know, reduces the severity of the disease for sure. And we also have now proven public health measures. For example, we are all wearing a mask today in the studio, which is good, because you know, the transmission is airborne. Now we know that also. So you know, as long as we follow the COVID appropriate behaviors and COVID appropriate protocols, and you know, we get ourselves vaccinated, I think we need not fear COVID. But of course, from caution is important, because the other thing also is, you know, we have elderly in our family, and we know that COVID is the impact of COVID is more serious on the elderly and the vulnerable, and you know, we should not be someone who would be responsible for transmitting that. So I think having a balance of caution and you know, not being too fearful, because stigma is another thing. I mean, we did a study on COVID, and we found that there's a lot of stigma. There was a stigma around healthcare providers, because they were going out and seeing COVID patients, and you know, we had heard these stories. So that is also not something that we should get into. So I think overall, you know, if we maintain our social distancing, the mask wearing, avoid crowded places and things like that, I think we should be able to be fairly safe.
Okay, and then for these people who actually believe that once you have, you know, be suffered from it and you are like done with it, there are chances that they will again, you know.
There are a very low rate of reinfection, but there is reports of reinfection from COVID. We hope that the reinfection will be milder, because the body has, you know, infection works in a similar way as vaccination. Your body recognizes the infection the next time around. The antibodies can be produced fairly quickly. but there are instances of reinfection, and ICMR actually did a study a few months back where they found that, and they used the definition of if you had COVID and then you did not have for a duration of 100 days and in between you had a negative RT-PCR. That was the definition used, and they found around 4.5% reinfection rate.
All right, okay.
So, there is evidence.
Yeah, so we must not let our guards down, no matter what. All right, Swamiji, I need to ask you this question. Other than the regular weekly practices and ceremonies and places of worship, what are the conditions to be followed by large gatherings during annual festivals?
Weekly gathering doesn't happen in our campus at least.
Achha.
Neither in this puja committees who are organizing Durga Puja. There is rarely weekly. Only the 6 to 10 times some major pujas are there, small pujas. Then only it takes place. In our place, only some locals, hardly 10 or 15, 20 people, not more than they do not come on the fortnightly small gathering that we have. So, our main concern is actually Durga Puja season, when large number from all plate comes. But for that we have crowd management, that is in our program. Unnecessary crowding should be avoided. Everybody want to give Pushpanjali, the offering. So, for that only suppose we have a hall where nearly 300 people can sit, but only 120 chairs you have placed. Rest of the people, we have a courtyard where which is almost double of our hall size. So, we keep them scattered outside. In by batches, they are allowed to go offer and move out. Then the rest of the group will come and take position. So, this type of well arranged it.
All right.
Mask is a must, and we are trying to through the WhatsApp group we are giving that you keep your very elderly people or who have some comorbidities at home. Don't bring. Try to avoid bringing children who are very small and who have some chance of infection. And if anybody has any minor infection, better you don't allow it. The best puja, systematic puja is organized by Belur Math, and it is now broadcast through Doordarshan online. So, anybody, elderly people can enjoy the whole of the puja right from the first day till the last day over net. So,
from the comforts of their
homes. Not to be worried about. But those who come, even prasad distribution, it's a major thing. We have stopped feeding people on the ground. We just pack, separate group arranges it in a fully sanitized condition. It is packed, and that. Don't take it even here, you take home and eat. So, we are little extra cautious about this point, and last year it went up well.
So, we are hoping this time will be much better.
CM also, which is why visited us. Local SDO visited. So, everybody was there. So, I think this year, since we have some experience of managing within.
So, you are getting better at it.
We think we will be able to adapt to all the restrictions better.
Mr. Naba, can you tell us, what restrictions for the size of gathering should remain in such events, and like Swamiji just mentioned, crowd management. Can you tell us more about this crowd management?
Yeah, exactly. We had identified the issue that where there were chances of this infection and crowd congregation of people at a given point of time beyond what is prescribed is the issue during the festival season. So, what we worked out, one was that confining within the locality puja, that para we say, we confine. Then we again last year came up the idea that once you go for this pomp and grandeur, your lighting, your gates, your huge pandals, automatically people start converging into those pandals. So, this is one aspect we have last year also, and this year also this.
But SOP. Isn't that what we all have been preparing on?
Yeah, but again the safety comes first. That is why I will tell you, this year also we have issued instruction to all our puja and mandir committees throughout Meghalaya. Keep your pandal small, minimum of lighting, and earlier used to see the size of Ma Durga's idol used to be 15-20 feet. This year we have kept it ideally at 5 feet.
All right.
So, these are all done to still instill and send a message to the devotees that everything is not hunky-dory, that you just come out and you throw all caution to the winds.
Yes.
So, still somber, no compromise on the rituals, the Anjali and other rituals, even Anjali what Maharaj was saying, we have regulating it, that one batch maintaining the protocols offers Anjali, then the next pack you give it in 5, 10, 15, 20 phases. Number 3, we always used to have this community feast in the pandals.
Yes.
So, that also this year also we are not going to allow. It will be packed, and only the organizers of that particular committee, if they want to have the bhog prasad which we say, not in the pandal. If you have an annex or a room somewhere nearby, 50% of the capacity, you go and eat in batches. Let there be 15, 20, 30 batches, and those who have finished should not be unnecessarily lingering around. You have done with, you move out and let a fresh group of people from your own locality come in.
Okay.
So, last year we got, we could adduce wonderful results on this. And another important aspect which we were talking, and Dr. Sarkar also was saying, regarding pertaining to vaccination.
Yes.
What we have done, we have a lot of people associated with the puja, like the pujari, his helper, the drummers.
Yes.
Last year we did not allow. So, this year we have told the puja committees they can come, provided they have taken their double vaccination.
Okay. Both the doses.
Both the doses, which is mandatory. Number 2 on this aspect is that the members of that particular puja committee and locality, we have asked them that you give in percentage wise how many of your members are yet to be vaccinated. Because I will tell you very frankly, among the Hindu community here, or Sanatan Dharma, Hindu is not a religion at all. The Sanatanis, we have said that how many, we have seen that about 92% has been already given their first vaccination, and over 70% has received their second dose. But that doesn't, that should not make us complacent. Still we have asked the status as on 15th of September, what is the status of vaccination in your different localities, particularly your volunteers who will be managing, regulating the crowd, who will be on the field. Plus we have all puja committees, we have asked, depending on space, that you keep one room or enclosure in case some cases, something, someone falls sick, so that they can be attended to, and each committee must maintain a small health committee of volunteers, so that the district magistrate and the DMHO and the your commanders, CCMT people can be in touch through the Sadar Thana and the sector magistrate, because we have magistrates, we have 6 sectors in Shillong, other Tura also is there. So, each sector one magistrate is in charge of Durga Puja right from beginning. So, these will still continue. So, there will be a close coordination between the puja committees, the government, the health, DMHO and others, so that nothing goes out of hand and immediate isolation if anyone affected or anything like that. Last year we had put restrictions on elders 65 and children before 10.
Mr. Naba, I do have a question on that, because I want to specifically discuss on the, the elderly and the vulnerable. I think we'll come back to that after a while. Let me come back to Dr. Rajiv. Like we have been talking about vaccination now, I mean it's been months, and let's talk about our state. Why do you think the same vaccine is accepted in one part of the state and then rejected in another part?
There are different reasons for that, and misinformation or misconception has also played a very large role. I mean, in the COVID vaccine development has a lot of firsts. For example, the first mRNA vaccine is the COVID vaccine. Of course, in India we don't use the mRNA vaccine. Ours is a different, ours is a viral vector which has a different technology. Also the fact that it took the shortest period to develop the vaccine. So there is, the first question was things compromised? Was science compromised? And it was not, because a lot of things happened in parallel simply because governments committed money to it.
Exactly.
So, you know, but of course, we have WhatsApp universities now.
And a lot of anti-vaxxers.
A lot of anti-vaxxers saying whatever. It is very easy to say something. It is more difficult to refute that. And, you know, and of course, the fact that one of the things that was experienced during the pandemic was scientific communication in real time. Usually, you do a scientific study, you find your results, you test it, you retest it, someone, you know, refutes it, and then finally, you know, you take your time and then you formulate and then you present it. Here what happens is people were putting it preprints even before peer reviewed, you know, things were taken up by press, and so, you know, unfortunately, in a way, people got to see the messy part of science.
Yes.
Where, you know, we learn with incremental knowledge. But all good, I mean that, you know, we know more than what we knew last year. And of course, you know, that helps us counter the arguments. Now, coming back to your point, I think, as I said, one is misinformation has been a very important factor in creating vaccine hesitancy, and also I think the fact that you know, things like fertility issues, like if I take the vaccine, I may not, you know, there could be issues in children and all, and things like that. So that has largely contributed to this kind of hesitancy. And of course, you know, we were discussing earlier that there is also a section of people who have doesn't believe in COVID.
Yes.
So if there's no COVID, then there's no point in taking a COVID vaccine. So I think these are the things which has largely contributed to this miscommunication. We are getting around it. The vaccine coverage in Meghalaya is increasing.
It's increasing.
And, you know, and hopefully with time people will realize the good these things of the vaccine, and, you know, will be more acceptable to it.
All right, okay, thank you. Swamiji, you know, we live in a state where there are many, like we just talked about vaccine hesitancy here. There are many people who feel like faith and science cannot go hand in hand, you know, they just cannot believe that it can happen. But then, you know, scientist Albert Einstein, you know, once said that science without religion is lame and religion without science is blind. What is your take on that?
The question is, what is knowledge expansion is a continuous process. The more humanity is progressing, it is being subject to a lot of factors which are not in their control. Climatic factors are there, global warming and other things are there. Then you see natural disasters are happening so often. So these will automatically impact the human psyche and automatically compel people to have a different kind of behavior. The Sanatana Dharma is on this principle. They say we have absolutely no confrontation with science. That is the beauty of the faith I belong to. So we are always open to discuss. Suppose at a period in India, in general, the science was taught through religious rituals. Suppose the copper vessel is used.
Okay.
It is a soft metal.
Yes.
In any other pot you keep the water, it may get charmed, may degenerate. But if it is kept in a copper kettle, it is soft metal. So it remains pure, unaffected, no gel form. So this is one of the reasons. And cleanliness is the most important factor for a religious place, worship place. So in this way we go ahead. So as such, there is no contradiction in this thing. Another thing, what Einstein told, it is a very big philosophical issue. Science means pursuit of truth. It can be done through instrumental knowledge, and it can be done through mentally also.
Okay.
Swami Vivekananda said, modern science and the path of yoga and spiritual science as developed by Indians, both are running in pursuit of truth. One is dependent on the four senses we have, or the capability of the senses that we have enhanced through microscope or through telescope and other things. Another is psychically you can train yourself to pursue higher truths.
Okay.
So both these leads, the second path is called yoga and the other path is called moral science.
Okay.
So absolutely there is no contradiction. So because many things are happening in our life and also around us in nature, all of which cannot yet be explained by science. Actually, what Einstein told is, he in fact, I think he mostly cautioned the scientists that don't fool yourself by believing that you have answer for every mystery in this universe. You don't have it.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
don't
okay.
try to despise it. You have your own limitation. The other way of pursuit of knowledge has its own limitation.
All
He
right.
pointed out the limitation
Okay.
for both.
All right, okay. Thank you, Swamiji, for that answer of yours. Well, viewers, we're going to take a short break right now and we'll be right back.
People are longing to go back to their old normal lives, which is understandable. However, we must remind ourselves of the huge risk of letting our guards down. We witnessed that very recently and continue to do so globally even today. We know that public health and social measures work even against the variants of concern. We know that the COVID-19 vaccines protect. As individuals, avoid closed settings, crowded places, and ensure ventilation. Wear a mask and wear it properly. Wash hands and watch your distance. And take the COVID-19 vaccine when available. It is really on us now. The virus is constantly looking for vulnerable people to infect, spread, and in the process mutate. If we take precautions and take the vaccine and give no room to the virus to infect you, and if all of us act together, we can contain the virus spread. The more we let the pandemic drag, the longer we will need to live the way we have to today because of COVID-19.
Do you know the COVID-19 disease can be stopped by you and me? Together we can do this. Avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth as much as possible. Wash your hands with soap more frequently. Maintain social distancing and keep a distance of at least 6 feet apart. Most importantly, wear double mask at all times. One surgical mask and a cloth mask on top. If you have symptoms like cough, fever, diarrhea, fatigue, shortness of breath or loss of taste and smell, contact your nearest health center immediately, or you can call the toll-free number 14410 for any assistance.
Issued in public interest by National Health Mission, Government of Meghalaya.
Welcome back, viewers, to our program. We are here on a very important discussion. We are having a very important discussion here on COVID protocols, vaccination and festivals. And Mr. Naba, I would like to proceed with you right now. Before heading towards the break, Swamiji had mentioned that hygiene is a very important, aspect of religion. And as we know, cleanliness is next to godliness, we all say that. Can you tell us how can the religious places ensure facilities that maintain proper sanitation? Because sanitation is very important. So how are these measures being taken up?
You see that sanitation and cleanliness has been there even before COVID. Now certain other arrangements has to be made. Otherwise, if you are talking in terms of pujas,
yes,
the mandirs and all, like all places of worship, are definitely kept hygienic, clean in all respects. Now, with the emerging situation of COVID, so you have your sufficient sanitizers, you have sufficient bins, then you do restrict on spitting.
Yes.
Spitting is one which I'll very frankly say across religion, that fasting, we have the system of fasting, even the Islam year has fasting. So spittoons we have increased, because when you fast, Whether you like it or not, that spitting emerges. These are all from our study which we have seen.
Achha.
Then your sufficient supply of water. Water is definitely an issue. So we have instructed all that sufficient water supply should be maintained in the at least these 3 days of puja.
Okay.
Then like Maharaj said, the distribution of prasad. So we have gone in, earlier it was this prasad, this khichdi, all these people sitting together giving, these have been done away with, packed prasad. Then another aspect we have in our pujas, there was a lot of discussion this time when we had meeting with the Deputy Commissioner, is that ladies on the day of immersion, they play with that vermilion to each other. So how to restrict that? You cannot regulate. If you say regulation, it will not happen. Everyone, whom will you allow and whom you will not allow. So this is again is a part of hygiene. We have taken it that this also will not be allowed this time.
But isn't that a very important part of the the Durga Puja festival?
It is important, but it is not part of the main rituals.
Achha.
I'll tell you.
Yes.
This is this is just a supplementing.
Okay.
So this is not very important, which can be done even in individual houses or with your neighbors. Your neighboring friend who is married, it can be done with them. It should not be community. Earlier, because no COVID, everyone is together, gathered, and that gave an opportunity for all to exchange ideas, meet each other, and with exchange of vermilion. That was just, you can say, if I can use the word of pretext, of coming closer and interacting. So
it is mostly designed for increase in community bonding.
Okay, all right.
So that is this aspect. And then otherwise general cleanliness around the your puja pandals, those are there. Then immersion is another aspect, because I am from this environmental view. So when I took over, we made it a point that your immersion areas, last year we allowed only 15%.
Okay.
No onlookers.
Okay.
Earlier years before COVID, that entire hill, entire polo, thousands of people. Now we have closed both the sides. Only though 15 persons
so
last
no
year.
processions.
No foot procession we are allowing. You come in trucks. Earlier was 15. This year we will be allowing probably 25 persons to enter that arena. You dip. Take out the idol, keep it on the side.
So have you allotted the time to every?
Every, Now we have, this year will be I broke my chain. So no. What I wanted to say is that some of the puja committees last year did not, more than 35% did not use idols. They did it on pots, ghat puja what we say. So that need not be, they need not come to the immersion ghat to immerse. So this year also we are encouraging, some of them are going ahead with that ghat puja. And as I said, the idols are kept bare minimum size, so that there is ease in immersion. You don't need too many people. 15 to 20 people can do it. Earlier thousands used to converge. So the whole this main, as I told you, congregation and gathering we are discouraging. So from thousands we have brought it down to few hundred. So we regulate the entry. We have 5 enclosures in the immersion ghat, where we give them which ghat is allotted to which puja committee. They go there, immerse, come out. No standing there, no exchanging greetings, because it's Dasami, used to think hugging this, that, those we have discouraged. So this will not happen within the immersion area.
All right, okay. Dr. Rajiv, any event with a lot of people, poses the risk of turning into a super spreader, and since there are talks of the third wave, so what advice from a medical perspective you would like to give to the people, and especially to the organizing committee as well?
Yeah, thank you. COVID is a very social virus, right? It really thrives when we come close together, spend hug and congregate. and all that. So to counter it, one of the things is for us to be socially responsible. In other words, we should just not let it, get its way.
Yes.
I think what has been mentioned by Mr. Nabha is a really good thing, that what do you do first? You restrict the number of people who would be together, because then the chance of it spreading comes down.
Yes.
Number two is that you can also ensure that the people who would be going out and immersing, maybe that you could choose them who are vaccinated. Then you know that even if that person gets a breakthrough infection, then the chance of that person having a severe disease is less. So that is another way. And of course, as he was rightly mentioning, and Swamiji also mentioned that that Sindoor Khela, the vermilion thing, if you can say that you do it within your households and not do it, so then you basically restrict ways in which large amount of people would come socially and congregate. And I think doing that would really prevent the rapid spread that is anticipated.
Yes.
With any kind of a large congregation, as you rightly mentioned, the super spreader events.
Okay, thank you. Swamiji, earlier you were mentioning on the distribution of the prasads, and the community kitchen, how they work now, the volunteers involved in it. So tell us more about that.
In last year we experimented, and this year we are improving upon it further. First is that cook for khichdi is cooked by a special group of people, and all our volunteers we have ensured they are already vaccinated. Only they will do all these things, and this will be packed in your cellophane paper and other things, as we do when we take some tiffins in for hello and other things. So they are packed thing, it will be put into your hand carried like that, and then it will be given.
Okay.
So, and nobody is permitted to eat it on the campus. You take it home and eat.
Okay.
This is regarding prasad.
Yes.
The Charanamrita is a very important, that means holy water as they call it. And the water with which the deity is bathed and all other things. Charanamrita is a very important ingredient in puja. We have a sensor-based Charanamrita dispenser. If you extend your hand, it will fall in 3-4 drops. You take twice and go. So nobody is touching the thing. When the crowd is more, we want additional volunteer we add there, and he only dispenses the Charanamrita.
Okay.
The persons, the devotees are not allowed to, everybody touch the same spoon and take it twice, thrice, etc. This is not permitted.
Okay.
So in this way, even for distribution of prasad and other things, we are doing it in a separate group, volunteers, they pack it, close it, and they hand over to the devotees.
Okay.
So actual contact is avoided in every possible.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nabha. For millennia, humans have sought, and they have found values, understanding, in religion, and especially festival is that time where, elderly people also like to take part. Because now most of them, they don't go for pilgrimages and all that, right? So they like to be a part of it. They like to do the rituals. They like to, be there, bless their children, bless their family. But then now with the restrictions, the age bars and all, so how are you trying to regulate this? What's happening with, the restrictions when it comes to particular age of people and how they celebrate this festival?
Actually, last year was more of a challenge for us. Particularly, you see, the pujas, the attraction is for the elders and children.
Yes.
Middle-aged, okay. But you see, these are the two extremes of the parameter where you find that they, as you rightly pointed out, they want to be participant. Children in one particular manner, the elders from their spiritual and other aspects. So this year what we have said that above 60 or 65 for Anjali and all, because Anjali is a very, very important aspect of our Durga Puja. So we have said that they have to be fully vaccinated, and we have advised the puja committees that these Anjali, because within the locality you more or less know who are the elders of the locality. So if you can keep a separate slot in the beginning after the puja to have the Anjali for the elders and a separate slot for children. Now children, again another issue we have seen, the vaccination has not been rolled out. So what do? We cannot leave the children behind at home. So here also we are saying, of course the parents will definitely be responsible, but we are also insisting that both parents are fully vaccinated when you bring your children out. But the elders will not be part of the Anjali process together with the children. If you are having children, you finish the Anjali first for the children, go for the elders, and then the whole day before you have the prasad, you keep open for others. That way it gives an opportunity for the children give their Anjali, because usually we fast before giving Anjali. So they go home, the elders go home. So this is the way we are thinking this year, because the vaccine part has been a big savior this year. Last year was a challenge, we were absolutely no for elders. So what each para did who could afford, they had this online Anjali. Which was introduced last year in many of the localities who could afford it, and others where the crowd was less, say 15, 20, 30. Many puja committees last year we visited all around, we keep visiting. At one point of time we did not see more than 20, 25 people, because people themselves also were very conscious. It's not only the regulation, that consciousness also has to evolve from you. That I'm going out, I'm putting my life, my children's life, and maybe others' lives into danger. So that aspect has reduced because of the vaccination. That I am fully vaccinated, I'm not going to endanger someone else. At the same time, I am also more or less insulated from this aspect. So this is the approach we are.
Yes, that's a very good approach. All right, Dr. Rajiv, you know, from the discussion, it's very clear that vaccine has been a game changer right now, this year especially. So, but having said that, the information when it comes to vaccines, I mean the COVID, you know, virus is changing. Almost every day we have, you know, new information on it. So, and then most of us are already vaccinated, some of us are waiting for a second dose. So, do you say that the vaccines can actually provide long-term protection?
There is, I mean, to be very frank, there is not enough data to refutably say yes or no. There are studies, you know, we are seeing breakthrough infections with the Delta variant in communities which has been vaccinated. And the greatest example again is Israel, where, you know, there was breakthrough infections that were noted, but as I mentioned, hospitalizations were low, and it is too early, because, you know, most of the in India for sure we have just majority of our population has only been partially vaccinated. We have not gotten to a fully vaccination. So it will take us some time to reach there, given that, you know, 90% of the population is getting Covishield, which has a 3-month, 84 days gap. So once we have that, probably, you know, around 6 months or something, we'll have more information and more data also from countries which has been able to vaccinate the population, the Western countries, for us to be able to really say about the long-term protection. But having said that, what is important to know is that the IgG, or, you know, the what is one of the markers for protection, which, you know, some of the studies which have questioned that cause of long-term protection, saying that they have seen a dip in the immune status, the IgG levels. That is not the only way the body protects. There are other mechanisms. So, you know, if we to have low levels of IgG, it does not equate to no protection or low protection. So we need to, that is why I am saying that, you know, we need to wait for some time, you know, see how the vaccinated populations, how the infection pans around in the vaccinated population, for us to be more clear about the long-term protection of the vaccine. Will we need you know, constant boosters yearly or semi-annually? You know, those questions we'll have to wait for some time.
All right, okay, thank you. Swamiji, can you tell us what is the protocol to be followed in case of a suspect or confirmed COVID case in the premises?
In our premises, luckily we have
sufficient rooms,
Acha.
and there is a small courtyard type campus, which is on the other side of the road
Okay.
from the main campus.
All right.
It is only say some 20 feet difference. So we have decided to make an enclosure there with 2 or 3 beds, etc. In case anybody is found
Okay.
that unexpectedly sick or some kind of contamination, we shall immediately isolate them there and immediately get in touch with health department
Okay.
and others.
Okay.
Or even we have our ambulance, etc. We can send them to hospitalization. They can call a doctor.
All right.
Rest of the campus, the main campus, we are trying to keep as insulated as possible, and time to time, several times this, sometimes through this smoke and sometimes through dhuno and other things that we use, embers, that as part of puja, it creates a kind of disinfecting factor.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Acha.
And other than that, you have sanitizer spray.
Yes.
Is also occasionally used.
All right. Okay. Mr.
So
Naba, I would
for
like
a
to.
sudden
Okay.
infection, it is detected.
Uh-huh.
For its isolation, we have to have the
All right.
This is the addition this year. Last year we did.
It wasn't there. Okay. So, Mr. Naba, can you reply to the same question? Because Sir, Swamiji replied it with like, Ramakrishna mission setup. But you being the, the president of the puja committee, so there'll be different mandaps. We might have a COVID case in any one of the mandaps. So are you planning to close that mandap for that day, or how will that thing happen?
You see, number one, I think I have already touched a bit on this, that we are maintaining a close sector wise. You see, 7, 8 puja, that when CPC started in 92, 93, from then only we have developed in course of the process from 2001 to that we have sector coordinators.
Yes.
So 6, 7 pujas, suppose we have Laimukra sector,
Yes.
we have Sadar sector, we have Laban sector, so we have Moprem sector. So this sector wise, the health department is going to set up their unit and helpline. It's not that only one will cater to the needs of all. Earlier it was one, now from last year we have started this. We have asked the puja committees, those who have space, like Samiji has space, that immediately you isolate and till the ambulance or they are shifted to other places. Those who do not have such facilities, the only thing which can be done is immediately inform because there will be ambulances at standby, 7 ambulances. Those will be in standby during the puja period and the day of the immersion to cater to such needs and emergencies which emerge in course of the pujas. As far as closing down of the pandal is concerned, you see, as per our rituals, the sanctum sanctorum cannot be closed as long as Ma Durga is present. Even we do not lock or even switch off the lights.
Okay.
So that part is totally ruled out. But within the pandal, we have talked to DMHO and the Director of Health, Dr. War and others, that if such situation, what best? For an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, at least the pandal part can be sanitized, and we do not allow barricade it, we do not allow people to come till the sanitization and other aspects has been taken care of.
Okay.
And this is one of the reasons why you are insisting that the pujaris helpers who can enter the sanctum sanctorum, they are doubly vaccinated. We are not even accepted single vaccination. So for them also the protocols are being explained, because many of them may not be able to read through these English protocols and things like that. So these are also being explained to them, because most of our priests come from outside. So these also are being explained to them. So these are the steps which we have kept in place, and before the pujas, almost every day there will be sectoral level with the police, with the local thana, with the CCMT, and these sector units, health units, which is for the 4 days of the pujas.
All right. So you just mentioned about that there will be some helplines also, you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So are these helplines already out, or is it the same that the state government is using right now?
No, helpline numbers mean sector wise.
All
Say
right.
Laban sector, your any health issues, law and order issues, this number, your health issues is this number, your any other issues, essential commodities, this, that is this number. This has been established earlier.
Okay.
Now one addition has come, the additional helpline number,
All
because of the COVID issues from last
All right.
year.
So you know, there's one thing that you know what happens is, yes, you mentioned there will be sanitizers, no? There will be any precaution, any measures taken. The one thing that it's sometimes the minor things that we miss. You know, we know there is a sanitizer there, but it's not refilled. You know, there many times it happens. हाँ वहाँ पे है ले लो, but अरे खाली है. So you have special volunteers for all that, I believe. And then you said the puja, like it lasts for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
So the volunteers, are they replaced every day, or is it the same volunteer?
It's
every day?
on rotation, and the list of volunteers who are in the health sector has to be submitted to the central committee. Who are in law and order, because law and order also is an issue at present in Shillong. So this is also one aspect being looked after, who will be the volunteers for that.
Yes, yes.
May not be numbers, because our youth power is dwindling. Most of our youth have gone out. So we have only the school students and others and elders. So volunteers are done on rotation. Numbers may not be big,
Okay.
but rotation is being maintained.
All right. Okay.
Suppose someone goes out with his family, so on Saptami day or first day, so he will have to do duty the second day or on the third day on the Navami day. So like that, each puja committee has their own intrinsic internal arrangements, but the names have to be submitted to us
beforehand. All right. Okay. So Swamiji, since you know, Ramakrishna Mission also runs a dispensary, so you know, one thing that it has been very clear to us is like the role of faith communities, you know, when it comes to things like this pandemic, you know. So according to you, what do you what else the faith communities can do in such situations? You know, like faith communities and and religion, I mean, sorry, faith communities and medical people, you know, they have to collaborate in such things, like it's clearly mentioned now. So what other roles do you think you can play? Do you think more of Swamijis should be first, maybe, I won't say trained, but maybe they have, you know, a proper discussion first with the medical team? Because what happens is, for lay people, lay person, they run first to religion. कुछ भी हो गया, अगर स्वामी जी बोले हैं तो ठीक है, pastor बोले हैं तो ठीक है, पंडित जी बोले हैं ठीक है. So how important it is for religious leaders to have more knowledge of, you know?
We believe, at least in informal discussions and when different programs are organized, we try to sensitize people about that. You see, there are simple stories told by Sri Ramakrishna, Vivekananda and others.
Okay.
The 3 persons or friends are going, all of a sudden they saw a tiger coming.
Achha.
One fellow started repeating the name of God, God will save me. Another person, without doing, started running away. The third person told, why we need trouble God? Immediately he climbed up to the nearby tree.
Okay.
So, you may have belief in any faith, but never discard your common sense.
Okay.
Sense of judgment. Be practical. God has given you some wit and self-protection mechanism. Make judicious use of that. Maintain your coolness and find an alternative. So, God is not coming and going to pull out of any situation. He will come when you have reached the end of your capability. God helps him who helps himself. So, we always encourage people that it is good to be religious,
Yes.
but it is more important to have the common sense and sense of proportion, taking decision, judicious decision in a calm way.
Okay.
and let not your faith be a barrier in that path.
All right.
That is how we, along with teaching our spiritual things, we ask them, as you are asking, that you apply your intelligence, don't discard your competence, and always reason.
Yes.
And we encourage questioning. That is the thing. We don't say, because I have said you must do it. No, we never encourage that. We always encourage questioning. And that is how I think people are more resilient, at least in our faith.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I need closing, lines from Mr. Naba. Can you tell us, lastly, what what do you say, suggestions do you want to give to the people in the upcoming festive season, and what request, if you have, that they should follow?
Yeah, you see, festive season, definitely we all faith, starting with the Durga Puja, we have to follow, not compromise on the actual rituals, which is more important. But I will again appeal, although vaccination has come from our community, more than 90% are vaccinated, but still the merriment, bonhomie, and particularly I kept on insisting that crowding, too much of congregation in a particular area or particular pandal, or even during traveling in buses and all, that should be avoided. Too many crowding is something which we must avoid at all costs. Otherwise, do your rituals, have your prasad, do your anjali, but it should be structured in a more very disciplined way, considering the circumstances and with the potential of the third wave still not receding to the background. So that is very, very important. Observe your pujas in whatever manner, more at home, in your locality pandals, less movement outside your locality. I think that will be my appeal, at least for this year. I am sure if we are more restrained, more disciplined, next year we can open up more. Last year was very stringent, this year it has been relaxed more, and next year it will be, I am hopeful that it will be much better. So let us wait and prepare ourselves for better days.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mr. Naba. Well, viewers, we might not be able to witness decked up crowd of festival goers this year as well, but then we can actually attain, the most enjoyment from this festival by just taking some effort of following the COVID appropriate behaviors that we have been talking for the last 60 minutes here. So on that note, I would like to thank our panelists here. Thank you so much for your insights. And well, viewers, from our panelists here and on behalf of DDK team, I would like to wish all of you a very happy and healthy festive season ahead. Please take care, God bless, and until next time, thank you.
Ngi pediang sobhai phi sha kanega program Health Essentials. Kanega program ka juan ra sha phi ya ki jing ya kren bat ki jing tip sha phi halor ki phang ba pher ki be day bat ka kot ka kya.